Everyone, I'm Brian Spector, for those who may not know me, and I want to welcome you to ACBC's July Lunch and Learn minus the lunch. So now to introduce Larry. Larry is an attorney admitted in Wisconsin and a former litigator. He is also a journalist and a marketer. He is a graduate of Seton Hall University Law School and Amherst College. He's been a marketing consultant for 30 years, and he is, among other things, an advisory board member for Lawlytics, which builds websites for law firms. He is a former editor of Lawyers.com and a frequent presenter to the Arizona State Bar. So Larry, we thank you for being here, and take it away.
Well, thanks very much for the kind introduction. We are indeed in a plague, and I've created this program from scratch to basically help you to get through it. You're going to hear lots of facts and figures. I'm also going to show you examples from law firms, and so watch closely, and we'll see if your law firm is one of them. And my whole approach is to be effective at marketing without spending a whole lot of money. So the American economy is close to a full stop right now. Every business finds itself in financial and operational difficulty, and all of the tried and true business development methods have all been stopped. It's very effective to have face-to-face meetings with clients, networking at group events and speeches, and some of the other methods that I've identified. You know, they're not available now, and it doesn't look good. It looks like this is going to continue throughout the rest of the year. The closings have been reordered in Arizona on June 29, and they just seem to be getting stronger and stronger. But there's good news. I know where all the potential clients are. They've gone online. So it's an online world now for business development. And you can apply a lot of these personal development techniques into online development techniques. For example, Zoom, like what we're on right now, is being used by 200 million meeting participants every day. Online news sites are up 50%, the internet is up, and Facebook is up. Now, this is an important moment for each one of you. The survival of your practice is pretty much at stake, and that's why online client development is so important. Harvard Business Review took a look at the 2009 recession, even though we're in a recession now, but so they looked at the previous one, and found that 7% of the businesses failed. They went out of business. 80% did not regain their pre-recession revenue and growth rates. However, 9% thrived after the slowdown. And by the techniques that I want to show you today, I'm going to show you how to be in that 9%. So the first thing I would suggest is it's really important, if you're going to do marketing, to establish a budget. If you don't have any money for marketing, you're not going to do it. And fewer than half of law firms even have a marketing budget. And the ones that do don't spend enough. So for instance, for a firm that's grossing, say a solo practice, $100,000, if you set aside 2%, well, that's $2,000. Well, you're not going to get very far for that. And according to Hinge, high growth firms set aside 5%, but that's still $5,000 for an entire year. So my suggestion would be whatever you're spending, spend a little bit more, especially now, and see if you can't find a way to spend $1,000 a month. But first, here's some things you should avoid. So I want to try to save you money in your marketing. One, of course, is paying for leads. It's very popular. It's kind of a desperation tactic. A lead for a bankruptcy lawyer is going to cost $50 to $75 per lead. And you know, the quality is going to be all over the place. Print advertising, I wouldn't waste your money there. As you can see, everybody's reading the news online, or ads in charity programs. I think it's wonderful to take an ad in a charity program to support the organization that you're involved with, but don't expect any kind of a marketing result from that. And then, of course, notorious pay-per-click advertising. now termed Google Ads. And not very many lawyers use it, only about 7%. But I'm telling you, the ones who do were bound and determined to buy their way to the top of Google, and they're spending $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 on it. I advise you to save your money because there's easier and cheaper ways to be on top of Google. I'll talk a little bit about directory listings later on. And then I always like to point out with radio and billboards, I don't know why lawyers advertise, because typically you listen to the radio in the car and you may see a billboard as you're driving by, but how are you going to write down the phone number or the person's name? Or if they have a website, how are you going to remember that? I mean, unless you have a photographic memory, radio and billboards are really not going to be a good way to reach potential clients. I've come up with a dozen key strategies, and if you follow them, you definitely will get new business. So just to summarize them briefly, we begin with checking in on clients. Now is the time to stay in touch. Take a look at your website. It should be your marketing hub. Everything should point to it. I'm going to talk about Zoom meetings like the one that we're in right now. They're an excellent way to generate content, which is one of the key ways you can get to the top of Google. Blogging is extremely effective, as well as online reviews. I'm going to go into that in more detail. Not so sure about directories, but I'll give you my 2 cents. Social media is effective for many attorneys. And here's the key piece of content that you really need to have updated and fresh, and that's your biography. Chances are you wrote it 2 years ago and it's just been sitting up there, and you're really missing out on all the opportunities that your bio can create for you. And I'll talk about ebooks that clients can download, getting referrals online, and the idea of hiring a digital marketing specialist. You don't need someone on staff. You can hire somebody to be an outsourced marketing specialist. So let's get into it. Right now, people are exhausted with this pandemic. They're anxious, they're disappointed, and they really want, to hear a comforting word. And so my 2 cents is, now is the time, weave a little bit of humanity in your practice. It's no longer just an attorney-client relationship. It's a person-to-person relationship. And there are 3 tools, the most important of which is empathy. Show that you understand and empathize with the client's situation. 2 other skills are asking questions. Nobody went to law school to sell, but if you are asking questions and the potential client is talking, you're selling. Listening is an excellent selling tool. And then finally, listen. You're not going to learn anything by talking, but if you listen, you probably learn quite a bit. And the questions to ask are basic. It's, how are you coping with all this? And more importantly, how do you feel about it? Are you anxious? Are you exhausted? Tell me how you feel. And then always come back to, is there anything that we can do for you? And the main reason you want to stay in touch with your current clients is you're trying to develop client loyalty, and also clients are going to be one of your very best referral sources. So now's the time to be in touch with clients. And so we ask ourselves, how do people find attorneys? And I got to say, it's online. The research from Inbound Law Marketing shows that almost everybody seeking legal advice uses a search engine. About 3/4 of a consumer will visit a lawyer's website to take action. 2/3 of people are going to be doing a search in Google that's generic. It's just going to be something like Phoenix Bankruptcy Attorney. Chances are they're not going to look for your name. And then 72% of people who are seeking legal advice only contact one attorney. So you want to be that very first attorney, and I'll show you how. For starters, make your website the hub of all of your marketing. So if you have a LinkedIn profile or a Facebook page or a YouTube account, or you've done recordings on Zoom, all of these should contain the URL, the online web address of your website, so that everything points back to your website. And while you're at it, on all these other sites, make sure that all of your information is exactly the same on every site. And that would include your contact information, your address, hours of operation. It should all be the same. And to amplify this, I highly encourage you to get an email address that shows the name of your firm or matches your website. So mine is easy. I'm at larry@larrybodine.com. It's short, it's memorable, nobody ever needs to write it down. So now's the time, if you're practicing law, don't use a Gmail address or a Cox or an MSN address. It's really got to be the firm name. I want to show you a website that is doing everything correctly. So, of course, being mobile friendly is a must, because more than half of the people that you want as clients are going to visit you on a cell phone. So stop thinking about how your website looks on a desktop, because you should design your website, if you're doing a new one, to look good on mobile first. So for instance, I would highly advise you to take a look at this website on a cell phone and put all the elements up that Leonard has wisely chosen to do. So, as I mentioned, most people, when they're looking for a law firm, are going to type something generic like bankruptcy lawyer, Arizona. And here's what you see. You see a variety of ads, and these are bankruptcy law firms that are basically paid to be at the top of Google. And of course, you can do the same. There's nothing wrong with this. However, be prepared to spend a truckload of money. Legal terms are extremely expensive. So all these firms you see here decided, well, here's how AdWords work. You pick a couple of key words, and when people type them into the search box, your ad appears. And they've chosen bankruptcy and lawyer and Arizona. These are all very expensive. Just to show you some other examples, Houston Maritime Attorney, he's paying $1,090 per click. So if somebody taps on his website, he just spent $1,000. Or Offshore Accident Attorney, click, just spent $815. So, you really have to figure out just how much tolerance you have for expense, but there's better ways to get to the top of Google that don't cost a lot of money. And the approach is what's called content marketing. And this is the idea of adding new material to your website. A website is not a billboard in a cornfield. It's something that's live and needs to be updated. 72% of marketers say that content marketing increases engagement and increases the number of leads. In terms of adding new material, use Zoom to record a video and put that online. Write blog posts. The more you blog, the more business you will get. And importantly, you have a couple seconds to make an impression on somebody, so use dramatic images. We are looking here today at the website of Hollis Joslin, and nobody's going to look away or forget this picture of a man with his hands covering his face. This just says despair, and that's going to be a lot of what people are feeling nowadays. So think about pictures and images, very important. Also, if you want to get to the #1 on Google, put up some video. Interestingly, 80% of people would rather watch a video than read text on a website. So for instance, I had to change a door handle in my house, and I went to the hardware store and got like a list of instructions that went across 2 feet wide. And I decided, I'm just going to look on YouTube, because I'd rather have somebody show me than make me read something. Also, Google owns YouTube, and YouTube is the second largest search engine online. And here's an example of My Arizona Lawyers. They have 150 videos online. So if you type bankruptcy lawyer Arizona or bankruptcy lawyer Phoenix, this is going to come up in the search. Video is very effective. I highly recommend that you become an expert at Zoom, because Zoom is a content generation machine. You can create all kinds of content without having to write or do a lot of research. So what we're in right now is a Zoom meeting. This is designed for us to see everybody else on the call. There's another version called the Zoom webinar, $40 a month. I have it. And what it does is presents the speaker and the host, or just you. So what I highly recommend, a solo meeting with no other guests on a Zoom webinar, and deliver your 90-second or 30-minute intro commercial, something you can put on your website. And it doesn't cost anything because basic Zoom is free. You can also record an interview. So Diane, I'm gonna turn to you now and stop sharing my screen. And I wanna show you the video that you're looking at here, where all I did was went to YouTube and typed bankruptcy lawyer.
Why isn't it coming up now? There we go.
What if somebody has no money and they're going in Chapter 7? Is the how you charge it just a flat fee, and they're just going to have to figure out how to come up with the money for it?
Well, most of the time I tell my clients, if I do get a flat fee in a Chapter 7, and it has to be paid before the case can be filed, mainly because I see a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a conflict of interest in being a creditor on the day I file a case for something.
So this is from the Lynch Sharp law firm, in a bankruptcy firm in Kansas City. And you can see what they did was basically conduct an interview. Each person in the video had something to say, and they're doing a lot of things right here. Notice how they're all looking at the camera. This is extremely important. When you don't look at the camera, you're breaking eye contact. Also, they're very well lit. They're lit sitting in front of a bright light, or they're sitting in front of a window. The only thing that I would have done differently is to, adjust the focus on the laptop. One thing you'll see a lot of on Zoom is people who log in like this, and all you see is the top of their head. So pay attention to what you look like on Zoom. And once you've recorded the video, it's a file that you don't need to do anything else with unless you want to edit it. And you upload it to Facebook, and you upload it to YouTube. And now you have a link, and you can include it in your bio. Highly effective method. And also doesn't cost a lot. Videos can be long or short. By just searching in YouTube, I found Karine Karagian from an attorney in Irvine, California, talking about debt relief and temporary hardship options. This is a perfectly timely video. It goes for about 1 hour, and it's essentially a recording of a CLE presentation that she made for the California State Bar. This is a very successful video. It's got 787 views. So the way to look at that is, suppose you're in an auditorium talking to people, and if you have an audience of 787 people, that's a terrific crowd. And you can get this kind of a crowd on YouTube. Now, I also want to put in a plug for writing blog posts. We're looking here at the Scott Hyder blog. He's a bankruptcy attorney in Phoenix. And you can see how up-to-date this is. Google likes fresh material. So, what a hard-working guy. He put up a blog post about Arizona bankruptcy exemptions on July 4th. He also put up one about filing bankruptcy in Arizona on July 2nd. And these kind of informational posts increase your likelihood to get to the top of Google, because 57% of marketers gained clients specifically through blogging, and 65% of potential clients are going to read 3, 4, 7 blog posts, and then they're going to contact your firm. So the more blog posts you have, the better. Which brings up the question, how often should I blog? And so here's a chart from HubSpot. The vertical scale is the percentage of bloggers who acquired a customer through their blog. And then across the horizontal line, we see how many times they posted. So 89% of bloggers who posted multiple times a day got a customer. But you notice it's really not necessary to do that much. There's a sweet spot kind of in the middle. 72% of bloggers said that they acquired a customer, or client in this case, by posting once a week. And I think that's a good schedule that you can keep to, but you need to mark it onto your calendar. You need to set aside some time for business development. And if you do that, you'll be blogging frequently enough to generate new business. probably the most important content you need to pay attention to on your site is your biography. You know, your biography is one thing that all people visiting your site are going to take a look at. And here's what they want to know. You know, whom do you serve? Do you serve businesses? Do you serve renters? Do you serve homeowners? Spell out all the people that you serve. And also list all of the problems that you solve. And by that, we're not talking about filing a petition in bankruptcy court under Chapter 13. You know, what they want to know is a problem you solve is eliminating debt or stopping collection calls. Use those terms, or avoiding debt settlement scams. You know, these people have a lot of concerns, and what you want to do is identify what their pain is and put that into the headline of your blog post so that people will see it. And also, very importantly, people want to know how are they going to be treated. You know, are they going to get personal attention? Are they going to get an online portal to check their case? Or are they going to get basically no attention, which conveys to them that you're a bankruptcy mill and nobody wants to be the client of a bankruptcy will? So a little more about your bio. Some specifics to include are case histories of problems you solved. Now, you don't need to name the client in this, but you can describe them generally, and you can certainly describe the situation. And if you feel more comfortable, of course, check with the client and make sure it's okay with them that you can tell the story. But find somebody who is just in a world of trouble and you save the day for them. That's the kind of story potential clients want to read. If you're representing businesses, get permission from your client and list industries that you represent. You know, are these people in real estate? Are they in restaurants, hotels? Spell it out, because people in business are going to search by industry. Also, testimonials, which I just noticed I misspelled. There are not two T's in testimonials. People want to know what people are saying about you. And if you have a client who is enthusiastic enough to say something positive about you, and many of them are, record it in a Zoom call, or just get the words that they're saying and put that on. You know, whatever the client is happy with. And now always focus your bio on current events. What is going on now? Everything's changed since February, and everything in your bio needs to reflect that. And of course, you know, when you record your 30-second or 90-second video on Zoom, put the Zoom recording in your bio so people can watch you. And what you don't want is a bio that looks like this. I actually clipped this off of an attorney's website, and I know it's very hard to read, but it says that the attorney obtained his Bachelor of Science degree from Cornell University in 1988. And while at Cornell, you know, you've lost me. I don't care. People don't care where you went to school. People don't care what bar association you belong to. What they want to know are, what problems do you solve? Have you ever represented someone like them? I've gotten a number of questions about lawyer directories. So what we're showing right now is FindLaw, which is the #1 most visited directory. And the 8 directories listed here are in declining order. So there's a bit fewer people on Avo, fewer people on Super Lawyers, and so forth. And what you get is your ad here, and I guess your logo, and a listing that says advertisement. It's kind of like you know, looking through the you know, the want ads in the paper. Here's the Avo directory, and you can immediately see what the disadvantage is. It not only displays you, if you're Eric Olson, but it also displays all of your competitors. So now they can pick and choose. You don't want that. You want them coming to your website and looking for only you. And besides the fact, lay people don't use legal directories, I have yet to find a layperson who has ever heard of Martindale Hubbell, for instance. However, a lot of these places do let you claim a free listing, like Avo. So I don't think you need to pay, but you know, if they're going to accept a free listing, put in your name, your hours, you know, name, rank, and serial number, as much as you can put in. And for me, I wouldn't spend the money, because frankly, a good website bio is much more effective than a directory listing. So online reviews are now something that have become very common. The places that display these reviews, here's the big three: Google, Facebook, and yes, believe it or not, the restaurant review site Yelp is now carrying lawyer reviews. Why would you be involved in lawyer reviews? Well, 90% of customers say their buying decisions are influenced by online reviews. I had to, a friend of mine asked me to help him find a divorce lawyer for his daughter in Iowa City, Iowa. So of course I Googled divorce lawyer, Iowa City, Iowa. I got a list, and the only ones that I checked were the ones that had reviews, because, you know, if it's just the law firm talking about itself, yeah, that, of course they're going to say great things about themselves, but I want to see what other people say. And 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as a person that they know recommending your firm. So that's how powerful they are. So here's an example of an online review on Facebook. This is Daniel Rylander. He's a bankruptcy attorney in Tucson. A couple things to note here. Tucson is where you can really show your human side. So notice he's not in an office in front of a bunch of books with a tie on. He's outdoors somewhere with a nice sky view in the background. And this has produced five-star reviews. Well, listen to some of these. This is marketing gold. Trey Steinbeck says, Dan was an excellent lawyer at all the various parts of my Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I felt like he was 100% on my side by immediately stopping the creditors from harassing me and then negotiating some really sweet solutions with them. Oh my God, that's the bankruptcy lawyer I want. Or Judy Clark Richardson down below. Best bankruptcy lawyer, triple exclamation points. Thanks, Daniel, for calming me down more than once during our journey down the walk of bankruptcy. So I can tell this is a lawyer who called up his client and checked in on him just to see how they're doing. And that's how you produce fantastic reviews like this. A couple key things to remember about reviews. And here we see, as I mentioned, Yelp listing, it's their list of the best bankruptcy attorney in Tucson. So congratulations, Matt Foley and Treza and Associates and the Bankruptcy Law Center. You're being recommended online. It's always good when you get a new client to ask them, did at any point you check out online reviews about us? And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to hear the answer that yes, they probably did. Many attorneys are making it a practice now. When there's a moment when you've had a positive consultation or you've gotten a favorable settlement or conclusion to a matter, is to ask for a review. And what they're doing is they're printing up little business cards, you know, professionally printed, and it says, here are the websites where, you know, we have an online presence, and if you're happy with our services, we would love to have you post a review. Key thing, don't offer anything in exchange for the review. Don't offer money, a coffee cup, a prize, or anything like that. It's strongly discouraged by all the review sites, and you may find all your reviews canceled if they find out about it. Oh, and one more thing on this. Everybody's concerned that they're going to get a negative review. And yes, it does happen, but here's how you handle them. In fact, if there's any review, if it's positive, go back on the site and thank them. If it's negative, say something to the effect of, we're sorry you had a negative experience. Please contact our client relations manager and we'll try to understand you a little bit better. Whatever you do, do not sue somebody who put up a negative review. I've chronicled many stories of where attorneys did it and they all came out looking like the bad guy. Okay. So whatever you do, don't go to court against a negative review. You know, just call them up, reach out to them and just say, you know, what can we do to make it better? Publishing ebooks are very effective. So what we're looking here is at a book written by Glenn Rothler. He is an attorney in Tempe and Mesa, and it's 36 pages. It's called The Whole Truth About Bankruptcy. And these things are really easy to create. You simply create a Word document and put pictures in it. Remember, pictures that are important to lay people. It just can't be text, text, text. And then you save it as an Adobe PDF file. You can put that file on your website and invite everybody to download it. It's very effective, and you can also see how many people got your ebook. And the advantage is, if there's a client out there and he's reading your ebook, that potential client is going to be your actual client. And in fact, at the company that I advise, I'm on the attorney advisory group for a company called Lawlytics. They have an ebook as well. Simply go to lawlytics.com/SEO-4-lawyers, and you can get your free copy. So if you've ever been interested in finding out more about search engine optimization and getting to the top of Google, the company has a free ebook for you. Now, let's go old school here. Let's talk about getting referrals. As I'm sure everybody knows, the best cases come from lawyer referrals because chances are they've been pre-screened by someone you know. And of course, if you get one referral from a source, it can lead to dozens of reviews. So here's how you do it online. I'm friends with an attorney in Kingston, New York, John Fisher, and he sends out a monthly email. It's in print and it's also online. And it's not written for clients. He sends it to people, to attorneys, people that he wants to refer business to them. And he goes through best practice tips, how to run your law firm. He includes marketing tips. And every time that comes out, every month that hits the attorney's office, they're going to read it, and you've just made yourself top of mind for that particular referral source. Don't forget your clients. When the relationship ends, when the matter ends, don't let the relationship end. In other words, find out what their birthdays are and send them birthday emails or cards, recognize their anniversaries, send them congratulations if you read about them in the paper, and importantly, give them some way to get something regularly from your firm, like to subscribe to your blog or to subscribe to your newsletter or to download your ebook. A little bit about social media really quickly. More than half of consumers said they would be likely to hire a lawyer who has an active social media presence. And here's the top 4. Facebook has 2.6 billion active users every month. YouTube has 2 billion. LinkedIn, which is for business-to-business purposes, has 575 million. And of course, the cesspool of the internet is Twitter. And I strongly recommend you don't bother with Twitter. So what do you bother with? According to my research, Facebook is by far the most effective social meeting. So the vertical line here sets out the number of minutes spent by a visitor on the site, and the horizontal one shows the percentage of reach for the target that you're trying to reach. You could, down below there's Google+, LinkedIn, Instagram. None of these are worth spending time with. It's just Facebook. 74% of people log in every day on Facebook. That's how powerful it is. And when you're on Facebook, the whole idea is to create content that people looking at it can share. The whole idea of social media is you put up something interesting, somebody sees it, and they share it with all of your friends. In other words, they're doing your marketing for you. And this is the Jenkins Law Firm in Phoenix, and 747 people said that they liked his Facebook page and his videos. He's got 9 of them online. You can also post quizzes. You can ask, what does a stay in bankruptcy mean? And, ask people to respond. And then, of course, you can give the answer. Giveaways, if you have hats or coffee mugs or clocks or anything you give away with a firm name on, you could do those on Facebook. Surveys and photo contests. People love photo contests. Encourage them to take a picture of what they're doing now on a particular theme, and they'll all pile into the Facebook page. And this is a way to get more people to share your material. And finally, I want to close out with the idea that you should hire a digital marketing specialist. And the reason for this is, you're going to need somebody who knows all about search engine optimization, knows how to design and update a website, somebody who knows about social media marketing. Now, I'm an attorney, and I taught myself how to do all this. If it's not your cup of tea, you can go to the Legal Marketing Association online. You can post a job there. Same thing with freelancer.com and indeed.com. Or you can do what a lot of lawyers do, which is just go to Google and type in outsourced marketing director, and you'll find someone. Or, you know, you can always contact yours truly. Here's my telephone number and my email address and my website. And, you know, there's a bunch of things I'm very good at, such as creating a marketing budget, conducting interviews of other people on Zoom, getting law firms started with social media, and even editing or illustrating your ebook. And in closing, Lawlytics has authorized me to extend this one-time offer to just the people that are on this call. And that is, if you're thinking, after you've seen this program, if you're thinking of starting a new website, they will cut off 50% of the startup fee, the setup fee, savings of $247. You just simply go to bit.ly Lawlytics with a capital L, and it'll take you there. And of course, you have to list me as the referral source, because then they'll give you the 50%. And with that, Diane, that covers all of my points. I'd be just thrilled to take some questions.
Larry, there are a few in the chat, but I've saved a few of them as they came along. So Brian asked if there's a hierarchy in terms of where we should urge clients to leave reviews, Google review versus Allo review.
Best place is Google, because Google, you know, runs the search engine, and Google displays the results of online reviews on Google. So get reviews on Google.
All right, and Carlene asked if there's any benefit to the pre-recorded videos versus Facebook Live videos.
Well, Facebook Live is good. The advantage is you kind of have to be there to see it at the given time. Also with the Facebook Live, anybody can comment on it. And I've been to Facebook Live webinars where the whole program just gets run off the rails by all sorts of crazy comments. Whereas if you pre-recorded it and it's just you, all they're going to see is the recording. And frankly, that's, you know, for all intents and purposes, almost as good as a live program.
And Alex had asked for a little bit of clarification on the pay per click, and points out that it's possible you could get put out of business by competitors just clicking away on your ads there.
Yep. Remember that guy who was a $1,000 click? You can be sure that his competitors are all visiting that when they see that ad and just going tap, 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 tap. So yes, it's a quick way to go deep in the hole. And you know, why would you do that when what you really need to do is just improve your bio?
And Leonard had asked if there's any benefit to using a different free video making software as opposed to Zoom.
There are other video sources. You could, I think, do the same with GoToWebinar. It's much more difficult to operate, and you know, has a whole lot of bells and whistles. What I like about Zoom is it's informal. People want to see somebody, you know, being a human being, not an automaton. And Zoom is free, and if you don't like the first one, you just delete it and record another one. So I'm a fan of Zoom.
One of the things that I want to add to that, as far as if you've done Zoom, then editing your video to do the fancy things you've seen, you can get that stuff for free. So I use VideoPad, and then there's also a second one, AVIDEMUX.
I use a free program as well. It's called Filmora, Filmora. And it basically lays your video out like a film strip. And you sort of pick a spot where you want to cut, and the ending where you want it to cut, and then you just delete it out. And you can put in captions and titles and all sorts of things. So Filmora is also worth considering.
So what you're saying is when I'm recording my video and I flub, I can just keep going and then cut out that flubbed snippet.
Yes, I do it all the time. There's an organization, I'm the president here in Tucson, and all of the meetings are on Zoom. I generally find the speakers are excellent, but I tend to get lost online or repeat myself, and that's the beauty of editing, is you can just snip all that stuff out.
Alex mentioned that coronavirus feeds have been gold on Facebook as an FYI, and I was going to ask him if he could expound upon that and what he meant.
That's one thing that should be prominent on your website right now. People want to know if they come into the office, has it been sanitized, what precautions are you taking, and so forth. And some people are going to be more comfortable with a Zoom interview. So make sure you express all of that. And then, the key message behind it, of course, is, we're here for you. We're in the same pandemic that you're in. Contact our office and we'll find a safe way to talk to you.
Alex, did you have anything to add to that?
What I have found is, at least in Tucson, there have been a number of invite-only Facebook communities, which if you basically ask to join, you join. And it's a lot of people, real average people, who are struggling in a variety of ways, and all sorts of legal questions come up in these feeds. Predominantly they're employment law questions, and I try to not dive into that, but occasionally you'll get someone who has financial issues, and I chime in individually, and then often will say, direct message me if you have a question, and then that can start a conversation. I've been doing it for a week or so, and I haven't gotten a paid client out of it, but I've certainly been getting a lot of conversations, and people have been enjoying at least knowing there's a lawyer out here that will field the question and then say, is there something I can do to help or not? And so that's kind of what I've been just checking out.
I think it's a good idea. I would continue it and just see how it goes. It doesn't sound like it costs anything. And if you continue to do it, perhaps you'll become a recognized name in that community and someone might call you up.
One of the things that I'm, given our situation, all of us are in the same boat. Our work is way down. We have access to technology that nobody has ever anticipated. So why not spend your time in learning some of these areas? Not that you're going to become the expert in marketing. Your expertise is in bankruptcy or lawyering, but still to have the skills to be able to, or the knowledge to be able to interview people well enough that the folks that are just pretending they know the answer. In other words, the professionals that really, quote, professionals that really don't know what they're doing, or they're just in it to make money off of you, not to provide you the services that you need. So if you've not educated yourself to understand like the basics of SEO, then how can you possibly find somebody that you think will fit what your needs are?
Good point.
I have a question for Larry. Larry, certain sites invite attorneys, and I'm thinking about Avo, for example, invite attorneys to answer questions. And I'm wondering whether or not you think that's worthwhile in terms of, does it add anything to SEO, search optimization, or anything like that? Or is that just something that gives you brownie points on that directory?
My 2 cents is it just gives you brownie points on the directory. It makes you more prominent in the directory. I believe they rank you more highly if you're someone who's answering questions. But again, this is it's in a directory. You're going to be compared with all the other lawyers who are answering questions. And also, I believe that's a paid feature. So if you want that, it's going to cost you money. If you set aside a marketing budget, well, then you can spend it on that. But set up a marketing budget first. Yeah,
and that's actually the next question I had is your marketing budget. I think you recommended something like $1,000 a month. And then as you were talking, it was evident that you didn't care much for print advertising or radio advertising or directories. Is it primarily a digital marketing consultant to help you with the online presence that would be the bulk of the expenditure?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, to me, all this internet stuff and the gadgets are really fascinating to me. That might not be the case with you. And why not just hire somebody who knows how to do all this and show them the list of the 12 key strategies that I outlined and tell them, do this stuff, and they'll know how to do it.
Leonard, you're probably of the group that's here right now, the more experienced with this. Why don't you tell us your perspective?
Okay. So yeah, we've done both pay-per-click at some point, and yeah, it is very, very expensive. The Phoenix bankruptcy attorney, Phoenix bankruptcy lawyer, depending on the time of day and which day, can get really astronomical. So we've toned that down. So we're last couple months, because from what I've been told by the folks that we're doing the pay-per-click consulting, queries for bankruptcy lawyers have been down on Google. So advertising for pay-per-click, there's just so much less traffic for this. So we've kind of turned it off essentially. And so for the last 3 months, we've just kind of been running silent basically on the power of the website itself, just inertia, I suppose. Like I said, my personal opinion is that as long as the demand is not going to come back, as long as the government gives everybody $800 to $900 per week just to stay home, and I'm very sympathetic to all the folks that are sick and getting that benefit, but basically until this month is over, and Congress is likely to do something, possibly with another stimulus check, but kind of a wait and see kind of situation for a lot of our clients. And I am curious to find out what Larry's costs are, what his fees are for providing his services, if we're not talking about website development. If you already have a website and it's been there for 10 years, from what I've been told, Google tracks how old your website is, and if you just put a brand new one up, your ratings go down with Google. So if you have a decent site and it's been on there for a while, probably replacing it is not a good idea. I mean, it'll come back, but it'll just take a year of work.
Most online measuring devices that are going to look on how old your website is are going to look at your domain. And if it's the same thing you had up 5 years ago, chances are it's not working for you, which is why people are updating their websites. And even if you don't want to do a website redesign, you can put up blogs, you can put up videos, you can put up all sorts of content, so that when the demand comes, I mean, we're in a recession. It's going to hit home. It might be till September. So now's a prime opportunity for you to basically get prepare it for when the flood comes. My fees are $250 per hour. I can edit video. I can get you started on social media. I can interview people on Zoom. I'd be delighted to work with anybody who's on this program.
One last question from me, and that is, I may be situated a little bit differently than a lot of the other folks on the call, in that I work in a firm that has other practice areas. And I'm wondering whether in your view, there are any advantages/disadvantages to trying to market a bankruptcy practice as part of a broader firm practice base.
Oh, well, of course. If the partners agree, I recommend you set up a little mini website or a separate website that, of course, connects to the firm's website. And the mini site or the independent site would just focus on bankruptcy law. And it'll allow you to, put up your own material and videos and so forth. And the other partners probably don't care because they're not practicing bankruptcy. Now, you may run into the situation where they say, no personal websites, It's all got to be on the firm website. And if you run into that, go to town on your bio. Put videos in your bio, put blog posts in your bio, then turn your biography page into a mini site of its own.
Yeah, that's what we're currently doing.
Good idea.
One of the things that I looked at very, very early in putting up a website was ownership of the site itself. One thing that struck me as I wandered through the various resources that were available is in some cases your tech that put up the site owns the site, or the company you come through to design the site owns the site. So you kind of get locked in if at some point you don't like your tech anymore or the company you're working with. So I'm just putting that out there to be cautious about the investment you're making in a site if you don't own it.
Diane, that raises a very important point, and you're absolutely right. And that's why I'm on the advisory board of Lawletics, because the company's approach is you own the website, you own everything that's on the site, all the text, the articles, the graphics, you own it all. And the company's view is we'll get you online, and you know they know there's a limited number of formats that actually work, and the company knows all of them. But the bottom line is there's also no month-to-month contracts. So it's your website. You could take it anywhere you want.
Any other questions or comments?
If we don't have any, I just want to, I think everyone will join me in congratulating Larry on just a fabulous job he did today. And Larry, it's hard for us to express our appreciation over just a fabulous job. We can't thank you enough. And I learned so much. I've got a few pages of notes here of things that I need to start doing. So we really appreciate it.